Hey guys, we are back and big win for PSG, 2-0 at home against Liverpool. Job done in this first leg of our quarterfinal at home and a game that we dominated. We were in control for the full 90 minutes from the beginning till the end. I think there was never any doubt in terms of who was going to get away with the win. And so richly deserved win, which could have been wider as well. And a lot of things to talk about as well. Tactical approach, individual performances. Let's just go through it all. 2-0 in the Parc. First goal around the 11th minute by Zaïre-Emery. Second goal against around the 65th by Kvaratskhelia. Could have been 3-0 towards the end with Dembele hitting the woodwork, with Nuno Mendes like fumbling a ball within the 6-yard box of Liverpool, and ultimately, like, you know, a couple of big chances in the first half, a few in the second one, a couple of questionable penalty calls for PSG, with Zaïre-Emery being denied the penalty in the second half, and then Nuno Mendes as well at the very end. I think, you know, we can be happy with the win because obviously taking a 2-0 advantage into the second leg, that puts us in the driver's seat and that gives us some comfort. But there is a general sensation of we could have scored more and we should have scored more, and hopefully it doesn't come back and bite us in the ass later on. A return at Anfield, it's always going to be a special game, and so even with a 2-goal advantage, we're going to have to get the job done over there. What's reassuring? One is the quality of this PSG team, that, you know, we'll get to the Liverpool side, because I think, like, as much as we won this game, Liverpool also lost it all on their own and themselves. But yes, we pulled in a performance. Yes, physically, in terms of intensity, the level was high. I think not as high as could be. I think this PSG team can go even higher. I think, you know, in terms of tactics, really interesting to see more and more with each passing game, the amount of movement, the amount of position switching, and the amount of creativity that comes out of this team. In terms of moving the ball forward from defense, we never really had a major challenge. I think the passing, the passing circuits and decisions are becoming sharper and sharper as the season progresses, and I think it's getting harder for teams to stop us from moving the ball forward. I think Vitinha had a game where he was really in control, in being able to orchestrate the distribution and orchestrate the passing from on back. So we know that when it happens, typically it leads to us having very high possession and having very high percentage of pass completion. Both of those things came true. I think we end the game with 70% 70% possession and 92% pass completion, which even at this level is a really high rating. And so that's in itself is saying something. And then, yeah, like I said, a lot of movement, a lot of position changes. I think Hakimi is coming back to his top level, and you see him run all the way from right back to midfielder, to at some points he even ends up as a left winger. So the amount of ground and positions that he covers is just incredible. Kvara, Dembele, Doué up front, all of them combining and switching positions on a regular basis as well. And I think it's interesting in a way because Doué ends up scoring. Doué starts on the right, supposedly, and he ends up scoring when he's on the left. So that's something. And Kvara, just before his goal, is actually, like, his goal is coming from the left as well. But just before his goal, like the 5-10 minutes before that, he's spending them on the right as a right winger. Dembele moved around a lot, typically in the right half space, but also coming down into midfield. So all of those movements make it extremely hard to track, and I think, like, we've seen it many times, but against this backline of five that Liverpool offered, we ended up in offensive situation with typically Kvara furthest on the left, Nuno Mendes in the left half space, typically Dembele or Doué in the middle, with the other one taking the right half space, and Hakimi all the way to the right. Line of 5, and then, you know, in midfield, João Neves, Zaïre-Emery, with our 3 in defense, with Vitinha sliding into the left of Pacho and Marquinhos to the right. So, stuff that we've seen, and that in itself is something to note, because we see the difference. You see the difference between a PSG team who's in control and comfortable with its game, and knows what its game plan is, what we're coming to do, how we are coming into this game, and how we want to win this game. There is clarity there, and you compare with Liverpool that pulls a rabbit out of the hat tactically, with a 5 at the back, and it doesn't pay off for them. It just doesn't pay off. They don't really know, they haven't really played it before, and you just, at this level, cannot try to execute something like this without more prep. And it says a lot about Liverpool, it says a lot about PSG as well, and even the press conference after the game, the first thing that everyone is saying is, we'll go to Anfield, try to win the game, play our game, play exactly like we want to, dominate, control, and try to win the game. And that clarity in terms of identity and DNA is extremely powerful at that level, because you don't need to confuse yourselves with different things. You can just execute what you know and how you do it, and deliver that. And I think, and that's kind of like my transition to the Liverpool side, is if you don't have something clear enough and identified enough to offer, then I seriously question what you're doing at this level of the competition. And it might sound harsh, because like Liverpool is a big team, and I've got mad respect for the club and its history. But when you don't have a gaming plan that's strong enough to weather going away against a big team and like offering something, yeah, like just leave your spot for someone else. Because even Real Madrid against Bayern Munich, in the end, they played defensive football, but they offered stuff offensively in terms of counter. They really like pushed back at a good 30 minutes block of domination. You can argue whether it was Bayern taking their foot off the gas or not, but honestly, like, Real offered something. Liverpool never. Liverpool stayed. They came with 5 at the back. So with Joe Gomez slotting to the left of Van Dijk, and Konate on the right of Van Dijk, Kerkes on the left, Frimpong on the right. Their midfield of 4 in diamond, and Ekitike on his own up front. In reality, they ended up getting so squished in terms of verticality that it was 2 lines of 5 within their 40 meters in front of their goals. They played in their half, they got pushed back the whole time. Even when they tried to go into our half, honestly, like, nothing came together as very connected. It always ended up as a bit disjointed. The main chances that they have is coming from long throws or free kicks, with Van Dijk at the back screaming at his teammates and waving his arms, telling them how to play things. I know English football is what it is these days, and set pieces have such a big role in the Premier League, but honestly, like, you cannot content yourself to play a quarterfinal of the Champions League in Paris against the title holder and have nothing to offer like this. It's impossible. And I think, Slot, obviously, like, a lot of player question whether he's the right man for the job at Liverpool and so on. I think now he's proved without a shadow of a doubt that just the suit is too big for him. The suit is too big, and I do seriously suspect that with this kind of decision making, and with having Salah on the bench and not putting him on the pitch at any point, he might have lost his dressing room for good. There's no coming back from this. So, very, very questionable choice. I kind of understand I understand the rationale in a way. Like, he knows like, he doesn't have the squad and the arguments to really push back on this PSG team, and so he decides to play it all for defense, try to stay alive for the return in Anfield, stay alive as long as possible in this tie, and try to hope for a miracle at some point. I think it's very dubious, and I think, honestly, I wish we had scored more so that there's not even a shadow of a doubt, but at the same time, I think even in Anfield, even a Liverpool team that is actually trying. I don't think they've got the quality to. I mean, I'll touch wood and so on, but like, I if you cannot produce anything better than 2 lines of 5 within your 40 meters in the Parc des Princes, I really struggle to see how you're going to propose enough to win 3-0 at home. That kind of turnaround. Yes, they beat Galatasaray 4-0 in Anfield in the previous round. Yes, Anfield is kind of holy ground of world football. So a lot of people argue that it's a bit overrated. Yeah, but we still won 1-0 there last season and qualified on penalty. And I think it's interesting as well because, yeah, we end up the game feeling a bit frustrated that we didn't score more, given how thoroughly we dominated the game. At the same time, last season, we came out of a game at home that we also thoroughly dominated, but we came out with a 1-goal deficit to get back on. This time we have a 2-goal advantage, and honestly, like, I don't think you come out of this game with more respect for this Liverpool team than we had last season. Not that they shouldn't be respected, obviously, there's still lots of talent, and like I said, like, we'll still have to take the return very seriously, so we don't end up in an Aston Villa kind of situation, where all of a sudden you bring your opponent back into the game and make the game difficult for yourself. But on what we saw, it's hard to see a path forward for Liverpool, honestly. We'll see. I think then, in terms of individual performances, on the PSG side, we got Champions League Kvara, and God, Champions League Kvara is always very enjoyable to watch. What a player, like I always say. He turns in a major performance. He scores a gorgeous second goal. Really incredible one. Dribbling past the goalkeeper, dribbling past half of the defense. He could have like run into the goal unopposed, really. So beautiful stuff, and he's creating so much danger for Liverpool. On the left, on the right, every time he touches the ball, there's danger for them. He's constantly asking for it, he's constantly moving, he's contributing so much defensively as well, the amount of impact that he puts. I think Frimpong will definitely remember it, and I think it gives a lot of confidence to Nuno Mendes to move forward as well, which in itself is really a big advantage too. Warren Zaïre-Emery in midfield also had a standout performance, especially in the first half. You know, to all of the people who doubted him last season, who said he wasn't cut from the clothes of a PSG player, my, did he prove you wrong? He turns in a major performance in terms of physical intensity, in terms of domination in midfield, in terms of resistance and work rate. Big game. And it's funny because we always, or at least for myself, like, I always go into those games against English team a little bit wary of that, a little bit wary of their midfield, their intensity, their physicality, the brute strength that they can put into a game. And then you've got a player like Warren, barely 20 years old, who's acting like he's 28, like he's seen it all, he's bulky like a freight train, and yeah, even against player like Zoboslai, like Gravenberch, like McAllister, who I put, like, you know, near the top in terms of like pure quality of midfield, he turns in, he turns up, and yeah, you're not getting anything from him. He's taking the ball from you, you're not taking it from him. He's moving you shoulder to shoulder, you're not moving him, and he's running past. Simple as. And yeah, big performance. It's interesting because, you know, 6 days of the week, we all like cry and complain about like Fabian Ruiz and when is Fabian Ruiz gonna come back and what's happening with Fabian Ruiz. But honestly, after seeing this, Fabian Ruiz comes back tomorrow. Like, I'm far from certain that he gets his spot back. I think at this point, like, we seriously have to consider the fact that Warren Zaïre-Emery is a starter now. He's a starter, and even like the balance of profiles and skills in this midfield between Vitinha and João Neves and Warren Zaïre-Emery, I think it's coming together a little bit better with each passing game, and now we're at a point where, yeah, like the three of them, they play together and it makes sense. It's of course different from the midfield that we had last season. That was always going to be the case, but it's not. yeah, it's not a done deal that Fabian Ruiz will get his spot back. Would love to hear your opinions on this, actually. Like, let me know in the comment what you think. Do you think Fabian Ruiz coming back, he automatically gets his spot back, or is Warren Zaïre-Emery now on top? In any case, big performance for him. Last one I wanted to mention on the PSG side, Hakimi. You know, it's been an on and off season for him. He started really well the first 2-3 months of the season. There were points where he was carrying us on his back, and then he got injured against Bayern, and then he had to race back to AFCON, and then he had like the AFCON heartbreak of losing in the final, of maybe for him, like kind of rushing back to play without being at 100% as well, and so not contributing as much as he would want to. And so yeah, coming back to Paris, it was difficult for a while. He had to get back into things, get back into domestic football, get back into club football, and progressively get back to his optimal fitness level. He's really getting there now. He's really getting there, and I think his game today, it's missing statistical output. I think if he scores a goal or he delivers an assist, we are not far from a man of the match performance, which in this case goes to Kvara. But I think in terms of, you know, the amount of coverage that he brings, like I mentioned earlier, all throughout the right flank, all the way from defense to attack, the runs that he makes, how cutting he can be, how he can project at the back of a defense, he can help with the build-up, he can slot into midfield to give an extra man advantage. There's really like so much depth to what he brings to this team, and on a game like this one, you definitely see and feel the impact and see the value. And so big game from Hakimi. I've said it before, I'm still convinced, like, you know, if we go really far this season, if we end up like really contesting for trophies, especially in Europe, Hakimi will have a big role to play. And, you know, I stand by that. I still believe it is true. And I think, you know, he's gonna keep improving. And then, like, slightly disappointing performances. I think it's a big word in a game we dominated so much, but I think Dembele was a bit underwhelming. I think he is so critical to the game in terms of dropping back into midfield and creating opportunities for his partner, organizing the game, being this sort of second orchestra conductor with Vitinha, but higher up the pitch, and he does that really well. He's got like so much technical ability. He's always making the right decisions at the right time. I think that is no question. I think in this game, maybe he was like maybe 2% under, and so it leads to, you know, his shot hitting the post instead of going in, instead of a couple of passes that don't land exactly where they should be, couple of passes that don't necessarily come in the right timing. I'm not saying he had a bad game by any means, but it's just not the Ballon d'Or level performance that we've seen from Dembele. And you definitely notice the difference because, like, yeah, he's such an extraordinary player that when he becomes just good, it looks horrible in comparison. Super harsh to say, but yeah, that's kind of how it felt a little bit. Hopefully he saved it for the return at home in Anfield. This is his place to score, his place to shine. So hopefully that's what we get over there as well. And then Vitinha on the fence because he touches a lot of ball, he organizes so much, he moves around a lot, he helps beat the press so much. I mean, he does so much on the pitch as well. But I think in terms of impact of what he did and of his passes in particular, it was sometimes a little bit neutral. And I think, you know, he could have kind of tried more, tried harder. I don't know if that makes sense. It's really harsh as well because ultimately, like, if I am to give him a grade out of 10, it'd probably be a 6.5 kind of thing. I think overall, he's so helpful to control the midfield, and so he's a big reason why we control this game. But yeah, I think in terms of offensive production and really creating danger from the back, I kind of wish he had been a little bit sharper. At the same time, it's very hard for him because, like, when playing against those two lines of five in front of him, not a lot of space, a lot of big players who can take the ball with their heads. Really hard to find opportunities for passing that are really completely cutting. So we'll have to see, but yeah. And then very briefly on the Liverpool side to conclude. One player I wanted to mention, I think disaster class from Gravenberch, and it's crazy to me because he had such a big season last season, but today he's involved in the two goals that we score. I think he's getting, I think I saw the stat, I don't remember exactly like offense, but I'm pretty sure he's getting 3 balls back from us, but he's losing 7 or 8. Which for a defensive midfielder, it's absolutely insane that he would lose more balls than he would get back. And I think it says something. The only bright spot, I guess, for him is that he didn't get a yellow card, and so he's not going to be suspended for the return. But yeah, like really not a good game. And he's not the only one. I mean, Konate, Van Dijk, that was horrible. Ekitike was pocketed by Marquinhos in a way that made me very happy. I was very glad because I was worried. Vert, I thought was interesting, and same thing with Zoboslai, actually, like interesting but so alone and not able to do it all on their own, and just outmatched and outranked collectively by our midfield. McAllister, like, didn't really contribute much one way or the other. Frimpong and Kerkez, like, I'm sorry, but like, when you compare Frimpong and Kerkez with Hakimi and Nuno Mendes, it's like, my eyes are bleeding a little bit, honestly. It's such a big difference in talent. It's such a big difference. You cannot at this level. So anyway, this is what I had for you on this PSG Liverpool game. PSG is in control. I think that's the takeaway. We go in Anfield with a 2-goal advantage, and we go into Anfield with a huge football confidence advantage. Honestly, like, we know who we are, we know how we play, we know how we can beat them, and so we're ready to execute that yet again in Anfield and qualify for the semi-final of the Champions League. So let me know in the comment what you thought of this game. Obviously, let me know about my Fabian Ruiz, Warren Zaïre-Emery question. As always, please drop a like in the video if you've made it this far. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, and hit the bell to get notified of future videos. And don't forget, more than ever, 2-0 up in the Champions League. Ici c'est Paris!